What's up everybody, Tindo here, and welcome to the 2020 Game Room Tour. We are going to go all the way around my game room. We're going to talk about what's new, what's old. You'll see a few shots while I talk of my previous game room tour, and a link to last year's game room tour will be posted below this video. This video is another one of those timestamps that I just want to do of once a year, just so as this channel progresses, we can look backwards once we get to every new year and just see how much we've grown. And I really consider this video my first real game room tour, because the first one I made it on a whim, and it was really pretty much like the launch of my channel. And I just showed off what I have, but what I have here now compared to last year is much more organized, much more thought through, and it's much more plentiful, let's say. There's a lot more games here than there was in my last year's game room tour. So we're gonna start on this side of the room. We're gonna do a big loop, and then we'll maybe talk about at the end of the video what I would like to change moving forward. And then, yeah, that'll be the start to our new year. Check this out. Oh, hey, you're still here, which means you're gonna stick around for the game room tour. Let's talk about my skinny shelves before we go on. Last year's video, you will see that most of my skinny shelves weren't painted. A lot of my shelves weren't yellow, and it's not so big of a problem now. I just have two shelves here that are not painted, and it's really because it was not just a week ago I painted two of these and one of these and added more. I'm adding more shelves to this game room. Sometimes it seems like daily. I've got another one in my storage unit that needs to be brought here to be painted as well. But these skinny shelves kind of don't have a permanent home yet. I wouldn't be surprised if I finish this game room tour and move them across the room, because I'm just not settled on them. They're perfect for really everything. I like putting video games in these, and I've seen lots of cool game room tours where people have like complete Wii sets on these skinny shelves, just like 5 or 6 at a time, you know, and I think that's pretty cool. So I go back and forth between wanting to put games on them, but there's no better way, at least that I've found in my room yet, to display my controller collection, because it's just a perfect cubbyhole system, right? So right now I've got the best of my controllers put up here. I've definitely got more controllers than this, but having not acquired enough stands to put the controllers on, I'm just kind of going with a limited amount right now. These controller stands, these were another early video back at the start of my channel. I 3D printed those bad boys, and I need a lot more of them, but they take like, you know, sometimes 6 to 8 hours a piece to print, and I can cram in one every couple of weeks. So it's been slow go, but really one of the most passionate things I am about displaying in the game room is my controller collection. And there are lots of options online for like acrylic stands. There's stands you can buy, but when you consider the number of stands that I need, it's a pretty penny. So I'm definitely getting off the hook cheaper printing them on my 3D printer than I am just buying them, but then it's a huge time commitment. So it's something that I'm battling with. But then really look at this. This is pretty funny. You can't tell when it's on the shelf. This Wii controller is just on a piece of cardboard. And, you know, I'm leaning towards practical solutions like this at this point, because I buy new controllers every day. You guys that are watching that have been with me for a little while, you guys know I'm the thrift master, and every day I'm at the thrift store buying new controllers. So what are you gonna do? But that's something we'll talk about a little bit more in a bit, because it's definitely one of the things I want to talk about at the end of the video that I want to improve. But before we move on this way, let's just talk about the other use for these skinny shelves. I found them to be perfect for loose carts. So I have a whole lot of my NES and N64. Pretty much everything that's loose is over here. And you can see I'm kind of disorganized with it, because I only own like 10 or 15 in-box Sega games, in-box Game Gear games. I don't know if I own any in-box NES games, but if I did, they'd be right here. My Game Boy collection's right here, at least the in-box ones. And it's kind of just my catch-all cart system. So controllers, loose carts. Let's move on to my console collection. This is another area that I'm not terribly happy with. I'm really happy with, you know, all of this setup where my games are. That's kind of straightforward. But I move these consoles around constantly because let's just take a trip over here real quick where we're gonna end up, and then we'll come back. This is my gaming area. This is where I do all my gaming, flat screen, my computers, and I am on the daily coming over here, grabbing a console, plugging it up over there, deciding, you know what, I'm having fun with this game, but I'd rather play it in my room. So I take a second Wii to my bedroom and plug it up in there, and then I get tired of it being in the way, so I bring it back. And so my console setups just kind of get jumbled up a bunch. What I would like to do in the future is really have a more permanent place for them, but again, that's something else we'll talk about. But these are all my consoles that I pretty much use, and then I've got, actually this bottom is the graveyard. These are all bad Sega Genesis, bad NESs. These are things that I buy at the bins for $1 or $2 and scrap for parts. The Atari's actually good. I just don't play it enough. It kind of gets buried down there. But, you know, all my GameCubes, I have so many because I definitely want to collect one of each color of all the American releases. So black GameCube, indigo GameCube, my silver boy's down here. So yeah, that's my console shelf. It's not really my proudest part of the game room, though I am proud of what I've got. I'm proud of some of my consoles, like my red PS3. This thing, as far as I'm concerned, is a work of art. What is in there? Test Drive, Off-Road 2. That's hilarious. But I'm just not proud of how they're all currently displayed. I did just recently pick up some new shelves for this bookcase, and I think what I'll do to start making it better is probably putting more shelves on it, dividing these up more, and just taking up more of the space in an even manner. But for now, that's just simply where the consoles go. So moving on to these 3 shelves, there's about 2,000 video games here, a little less because I have probably 300 or 400 loose Game Boy games and Game Gear games, small cartridges, and DS and stuff, and those are not on display here. But otherwise, that's the bulk of my 2,000 game collection. I think when we did my last game room tour, man, I can't even tell you how many video games I had at that point. Probably like 300, like not much at all. And so that's where we're at now. And it's another part of the game room that's not really perfect because I'm starting to double everything up. So what I do is I like put the sports games in the back rows, and then in front I put the games I'm actually gonna play sometime soon. Nothing here is alphabetized yet because really I pretty much, in the first 4 months of this channel, I did about 1,000 games, and then in the last like month and a half I did another 1,000. So I completely doubled, almost tripled my game intake. So it's just been too quick to really process all this stuff in a way where I can put it all in alphabetical order, et cetera, et cetera. At this point in my channel and in the work I'm doing to make these videos, it's about all I can do to get these in here, get the stickers off, get them on the shelf, get them cataloged in my database, in my game database. So I'm not super proud either really of the organization, but that's all stuff that, you know, we've got a brand new year coming up. It's all stuff that I plan on tackling very soon. But pretty much the way it is in my head right now, this is just Xbox stuff. This is pretty much Nintendo stuff. And then this is all PlayStation. That's the way it's organized right now. So there is a little bit of a rhyme or reason to it, just nothing perfect yet. Because I said this in my last game room tour, and I've said this a lot on the channel, I'll say it again. This is actually my living room. We don't have couches. We don't have, you know, lounging areas here at the house. We have our YouTube studio headquarters, you know? So it's all a work in progress, and it's all been shifting around. And we're gonna talk again at the end of the video about some of the big changes I wanna make, but I'll let you in a little secret right now. The changes I need to make are for space, because I have more bookshelves that need to go in here. I can spread these games out more. I can finally have room to put them in alphabetical order. I just haven't got around to it yet. So let's move on from the games to the next shelf. This is the toy and bookshelf. These toys are a very recent add-on to the game room. I believe I had a toy shelf. I can't even remember. I think I had a toy shelf in the last game room, but in the last game room tour. But it was much smaller, and I certainly didn't own 1,000 Pez, 1,000 Ninja Turtles, 1,000 Mario toys, and all these X-Men toys back then. And I'm happy with this. This is one of my newest, most proudest additions to the game room, except I need to put more shelves in it. These books are gonna go elsewhere, and this is just gonna be nothing but toys. And really, I feel pretty clever about this edition of the bookshelf because I do love toys. I love Batman figures. I love X-Men figures. I've been growing to love Pez. The Pez were an accident. If you want to know why, just go watch any Pez video on my channel. There are a few. But what this is my way to curb my toy buying habits. If the X-Men toy is not going to fit on the shelf, I'm not going to buy it. If I can't fit it on the Mario shelf, I'm not going to buy it, etc. This is me limiting myself and not overtaking more room here because honestly, video game collecting is more important to me in this channel than the toys are. So that's kind of how I'm thinking about all this. So that's my toys. And again, these are all my gaming manuals, all my Game Informers, my Nintendo Powers. They're just stacked up there. And I've got plans on how to organize those, but let's hold off on that. So before we move on to that side of the room, let's go back over here and let's talk about everything that's on top of my shelves. This stuff really doesn't get looked at a lot in my videos because it's so far up. But rubber duck collection kind of hides up there amongst everything else. But I've got some more carts up here. This is something I would love. You know, I don't know how I would do this, but I would kill to have like 100 more of these Nintendo sorters. Then just put the whole NES, the SNES collection on that. That would be a beautiful thing. I found that at a Goodwill one day for $1. And it's built for Super Nintendo games. It's wild. Just wish I could find dozens more. And then you pretty much get into my whole in-box console collection, something I'm very happy about. Half of these have the consoles in them, like these Wiis. They're all in-box, complete, sealed up. These are precious to me. But then, like, I'm, of course, playing my Switch. It's plugged up to my TV. Well, the dock's plugged up to my TV in my bedroom. Switch is actually right here itself. But then, like, this Ouya is actually an empty box that I found at the bins, and the console wasn't in it. But I did put the controller in there that I had found at a previous trip to the bins. So all this stuff is in different states of packed in. I do have the Wii U complete, but I do use it, so it's not in there. Same with the Switch Lite. This is just an empty box for an NES Classic that I bought the empty box at the bins. Actually, I didn't buy it. When you go to the Goodwill bins, they'll let you leave with the empty boxes for free. So that's what that is. And I just have not been bothered to actually purchase and pay for an NES Classic. My in-box Super Nintendo, it's in there. It's wrapped up. It's in perfect condition, and I love it so much. My Xbox 360, this is complete. It's all in box. And then moving on to a bunch of PlayStation stuff. I have all of that stuff complete as well, but it is all stuff that I play. Like, so the PS2 is actually down here, etc., etc. A complete in-box PlayStation, original PlayStation controller. I kind of thought that was cool. Another Goodwill find. What am I talking about? All this stuff is from Goodwill. That is an empty Xbox box. My Wii board, my Wii U board. And then super advanced, my dice collection, some of my Pez. And then this kind of turns into nonsense up here. When I started collecting for this channel, people would always ask me, are you gonna collect Guitar Hero guitars? Are you gonna collect, I don't know, Wii hunting peripherals? And I always said, no, but if I find them complete in box, I'll buy them. And I said that thinking, I'm not gonna find a bunch of that stuff complete in box. But sure enough, one by one, all the Guitar Hero guitars have been showing up complete in pristine condition at the Goodwill bins for whatever they are by weight, so like $4 or $5. And I can't not buy a complete pristine in-box Guitar Hero guitar for $5. You can't just not buy that. So that's kind of what that's turning into. I've got more of this stuff in my storage unit because there's just nowhere to put it. But that's the stuff that I kind of think, well, maybe if I need quick access to it, I'll keep it here. But that's what that is. So let's move on to this side of the room, the last portion of the room. This is one of my better finds of 2019, my big old CRT. This thing is heavy. Patrick's not quite as big as I am, but he's close. Him and me both could barely get that thing on the stand. And I consider myself to be a rather strong person. I can pick up lots of weight just simply because of my size, not because I work out or anything. And we could barely get the thing on there. It's so heavy. I know we all remember CRT TVs to be heavy, but this thing is super heavy. And but it was in the trash. I didn't get this at the Goodwill. It was in the trash just on the other side of my apartment complex. I saw it and I thought, there's no way this is gonna work. Struggled to within an inch of my life to get in the back of my car, drove it back over here, struggled with both mine and Patrick's lives almost dying, getting it in the house, getting it on the stand, and it's been wonderful. It's pretty much a glorified Super Nintendo machine for me. That's my favorite console. A lot of you have asked me that on social media. That's usually my answer. So right now my Super Game Boy player is in it, and it's got Tetris in it. And I'll tell you what's really funny. I've got a Retron 5 that plays Game Boy games. I've got one of every, well, multiples of every kind of Game Boy there is. I've got the Game Boy player on the GameCube down here. You name it for the Game Boy, I've got it, but I don't know what it is. There's something so much more easy and comforting about putting my Game Boy game in the Game Boy player and playing it on the Super Nintendo. I would say that's 70 to 80% of my Game Boy playing right there, the Super Game Boy. I love that bad boy. You see her? You gotta get that on the game room tour. That's beautiful right there. It's just a work of art. And it's actually, out of all those things I just named, the Game Boy player, the Retron 5, etc., that's the first one I bought. And I love it. So that's the CRT section. That's where I play all my retro stuff. We'll move on to where I play my modern stuff. I pretty much leave a 360 plugged up 100% of the time because pretty much for Left 4 Dead. We play a lot of Left 4 Dead. It's just one of my favorite games, but I don't really leave like a PlayStation 2 or 3 plugged up. I just get those out when I need them, but it's, for some reason, it seems like there's always something on a 360, at least this last year, that I want to play. It'll be interesting to jump forward to next year's game room tour and see if that's changed, if whatever that console is has changed. And then right here, this is not one computer, this is actually two computers. My big yellow tower underneath the Dragon Zord right here. Make sure you get the Dragon Zord, because he's very beautiful. But there's a tower there, and then I've got one tucked underneath the desk under here. So I play on this computer, and then I use this second computer over here to capture whatever I'm playing on this computer, and we often stream over on Twitch. Definitely go follow us on Twitch if you haven't already. And this is where we do it. And I'm also able at any time to just plug this 360 into the capture computer, and I'm able to capture any of these consoles over here, and it's a lot of fun. I've even got some tricky stuff going where I can, if I want to, I can point a camera over here and I can capture the CRT as I play it. I can capture it over there and stream while playing on the CRT if I want to also. There's a lot going on here. You're not gonna be able to see it well on cameras, but behind all this stuff is a sea of wires. Power cables, video cables, it is endless back there. It's a mess. But what are you gonna do when you've got 25 consoles at the ready at any given time? It's not a fire hazard though, because I leave anything unplugged from the power supply that's not being played directly. But 4 screens, what do you think? Is that too many? I think it's the perfect amount. Retro consoles, modern consoles, PC. And then an extra PC to capture them, right? I think it's the perfect amount. And last, and certainly not least, but something that I'm a little bit disappointed with myself for, this arcade cabinet. Very early on in my channel, I found this bad boy at the Goodwill, and I made some videos about it. If you're interested, you can go scroll way back at the beginning of my channel and check out all of this arcade nonsense setting right here. I paid 20 bucks for this thing. I was excited. I brought it home. I was going to turn it into, I've had many ideas. I was going to turn it into, you know, just kind of a every game machine, put some emulators in it. I was going to take the CRT out of it. I was going to leave the CRT in. I even had an idea recently to just basically put a PlayStation in it and then put PlayStation pads on here. There's still endless possibilities with it. I just kind of lost interest and didn't ever really jump into it because it was such a large endeavor. But with 2020, who knows, I might actually do it, or I might move it out for a little while, put it in my storage unit, and one of these days when we move into a bigger space for YouTube purposes, maybe it'll be a bigger project then. I don't know, but if you've got any ideas or suggestions what to do with the arcade cabinet, definitely let me know, because I've got a notepad with ideas on it that I've scribbled down. And if you're making good suggestions, I'll be glad to write those down, and maybe in a video this year we could do something with this arcade. But it's just sitting here, look how dirty it is right now, sitting here collecting dust, and I've not been doing a lot with it. Though I'm super happy to have it, because much like a lot of the stuff in here, I don't want to go to the store and pay full price for it. I don't want to go buy a $2,000 arcade cabinet. I'd much rather buy a trash one and build it up. So I have no intentions really of getting rid of it. It might sit in a storage unit bagged up for a little while at the worst, but at best we'll get to work on it this year. But that's the room. That is the whole game room, and there is more gaming stuff in this house. I keep a lot of the modern consoles plugged up in my bedroom as well. You don't really need to see that. You can imagine, right? Bed, TV, consoles. But let's talk a little bit about the changes I want to make in the coming year. I'm going to tell you the changes I want to make. A, really, I guess to keep myself accountable maybe, but B, really just to set some goals and have something to look back on and say, hey, what was I going to do? Hey, have I done that yet? What I really want to do is, what I'm feeling right now is changing things up to where this whole room is a horseshoe of these yellow bookcases, and nothing is in here pretty much except for the media. And then I'm thinking about adapting another space in the house just to be where the gaming setup is and where the streaming setup is, and this just being the collection. That's what I'm feeling right now, because I love this. I love this yellow. When I walk in here, every time I see this, I smile. And though I get a lot of joy out of this stuff over here, it doesn't jive well with the rest of this. So the changes I'm thinking about making soon are to really fill this room out with more yellow shelves. That's probably number one. And that would alleviate a lot of things going on in the room. This upper row of console stuff is all pretty congested. So if these shelves went all the way around the room, I could definitely fix that. Another change that needs to happen, I really do love collecting Amiibo, Skylander, and Infinity, and I'm getting to where I almost have the whole Infinity set. This is actually such a strange thing. It's Donkey Kong. He's actually an Amiibo and a Skylander. Who knew that existed? But it does. There's a Bowser one too, but a big change I need to make is I need some sort of, either they need their own shelf or some sort of custom display, because I've got Skylander, Amiibo, and Disney Infinity up to wazoo. I've got so many, they're tucked everywhere. They're in the bedroom, they're in here, and you guys stay there. I want to show you something. I just bought a whole nother bag of, this is actually full of Infinity, Amiibo, and Skylanders. There's several Amiibo in here. And this will be on an episode coming up here real soon, but I just want to show that to illustrate how many of those I'm still constantly bringing in. It's a change that needs to be made now, because if not, I'm going to be overrun with those things. But I'm happy to, because I do like them. I like all three of those sets. I haven't really played much of the games yet, but I'm saving it because I actually want to kind of make some reviews of Infinity, Skylander, Amiibo, kind of, not really reviews, but just like historical snapshots of what those games were. So I'm trying to get close to having like complete collections of each, and I'm really close on Infinity, and I'm like 2/3 of the way to having all of the Skylanders. Actually, I've done really well with those this year. But that's it. That's everything, guys. What I want to do before we roll out, comment below. How do you think we did this year? Did we get far enough? Is 2,000 games enough, or have I brought shame to the dojo? Tell me in the comments below, how many games do I have to get before next year? Should I just stick with 2,000 and maybe have 4,000 before next year is over? Or do I have to step it up? Do we have to jump straight up to 7,000? I don't know. Tell me what you think a good projection for my game room next year is. Next year, I really want to have this space working really well. And not long after next year, I want to be moved into a completely different space and make lots of content around building my dream game room. Try not to look too far ahead, because I do need to get this place in order. But that's definitely in the cards. Just mark my words. I don't know how many game room tour years away from now it's going to be, but here in a couple or a few game room tours, we'll be in a different place. Just you watch. That's it, guys. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. Thanks for checking out my game room for the second year in a row. Before you go, guys, make sure to hit that subscribe button, please, because we're trying to get to 1,000 subs and we're really close. We're much, much closer than we were the last time that I made a game room tour video. And also, please run over to our Discord, join it. We're almost to 100 members over there, which is not bad because we've only had the Discord for a couple months now. Go join our Discord, show me pictures of your game room, and let's make a habit of that every year. Let's do a game room update. Let me see yours, because you've seen mine. That's how it's supposed to work, right? Patrick's eyeballs are this big behind the camera. I'm not talking about anything but game room, Patrick. Yeah, and before you go, if you have subscribed, make sure to hit that bell notification so that next year, a whole year from now, if you hit that notification bell now, a whole year from now, you will get a notification on today exactly next year that I've posted another game room video. And you'll get a notification at that exact moment, and you can come back and hang out with me then. Until then, guys, Happy New Year and peace out.